What up, Depth Chart? It's your boy, young broadcaster Jared Young, coming at you from the set of the 2 Point Perspective here with my co-host Miles on the mic, Miles Sweeney. And, I just want to start off our podcast by saying that we apologize for not putting out an episode last week. We had some technical difficulties, but we're super happy to be back this week, and we're hoping to get back on a consistent weekly schedule. Miles, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Again, we apologize. It's been a long 2 weeks. I missed you guys on the roster. But I'm ready to just hit the ground running. I'm ready to rip it. So let's do this.
Yeah, man. I just talk about a long 2 weeks, man. I had a concussion. We actually did record our second episode, but I'm kind of glad that we're maybe not putting it out. It'll be the secret episode now. But it got a little funky for me. My mind was kind of like a scrambled egg, so it was good to maybe do a little run through of that and see how it goes before we actually put out an episode.
Well, and there were still good moments in that episode that I would love to at least show you guys. Some of it's kind of moot point because of some of the stuff we talked about, but we had some fun on that episode.
We got some good content out there. We actually added something new. You guys will get to see it this week, but we're having callers do our question of the week, so we're really excited for that. You'll see that at the end of the episode. And then last week we tried to introduce it, but obviously that didn't happen. But our brand new 2 Point Perspective banner, I know we had a smaller one before, but we got a large one to kind of cover our whole backdrop. We thought it looked a little bit better. And I love it. I don't know what your thoughts are, Miles, but I'm stoked on it.
The good upgrade for that.
Shout out to the Vistaprint for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump right into our roster shakeup. I'm going to start us off, Miles, if you don't mind, but so I want to talk about Jalen McMillan. Sprained his neck and is on IR. My biggest thing with Jalen McMillan, the Bucks wide receiver room is a little bit shaken up still, right? Chris Godwin is still out. Mike Evans is coming off of injury. Now, the big piece here that I'm looking at is Emeka Egbuka. That's going to open up huge opportunities with McMillan down. And I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with that. He's had a breakout preseason. I know he's a big deal coming into the draft. So I'm really excited to see where he goes with Baker under center.
Yeah, I mean, good receiver out of Ohio State. And this is just opening the doors for him to kind of take over that wide receiver room and show what he's got, because he's going to be number one by default. So, and who's really, I know that you wanted him on your fantasy, and we'll get to fantasy later, but Henry took him. He kind of sniped him in front of you, and he's going to benefit from that for sure. That was a good pickup. So
yeah, I was pretty bummed. I didn't know how much info those guys had on him. I was hoping to pick him up maybe a little bit later, but somebody jumped for him, and I agree. Honestly, if I knew someone was going to grab him, I probably would have forfeited my pick and took him.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, you got Stetson Bennett. Tell us a little bit about Stetson Bennett.
The former Bulldog. He came out of Georgia. He played a lot of college football. He has the privilege of being able to take play calls from Sean McVay, one of the best offensive minds in the league. And it would not surprise me. I don't know if they're going to go this route, but with Stafford being hurt, probably if he's going to miss the first couple of weeks, something like that, he can really make some noise to start over Jimmy G, your former guy.
Yeah.
And he's thrown, I believe it was 5 touchdowns so far in 2 preseason games. He's been looking good. So I think he can make some noise for sure. Just getting in there, maybe starting one of the games or two if Jimmy's not really kind of looking like he can handle it. But at the same time,
and even if Jimmy does start, I mean, the guy's injury prone, man. So if Stafford's not going to play, there will more than likely be opportunities for Bennett.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's hard to not be able to play in a Sean McVay system. I think even a guy like Jimmy G, you've seen it with Kyle Shanahan. He's got playmakers and he's got a scheme that he just needs to operate. He just needs to be the game manager. I don't see him being a colossal failure.
I don't see that from any of the quarterbacks. I mean, they've got a decent offensive line. They've got good wide receivers downfield. I mean, you got Puka, you got Devontae Adams. Those are huge. They're pretty decent over there at tight end as well. And the run game with Kyron Williams is going to take off a lot of that pressure. So really excited to see how that kind of shakes out if Matthew Stafford ends up not starting the first couple weeks. Has he practiced yet? Do you know? Has he?
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
Yeah, that back injury is really tough. I guess we'll see what happens in the coming weeks, and we'll keep you guys updated with what we know. I'm going to move on to another quarterback. Another guy that's a little bit on the older side is Joe Flacco. Got the starting job over there in Cleveland. Cleveland named him number 1.
Shocker.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised. And not that I don't think that he's probably the best man for the job in that quarterback room, right? But I would not be surprised to see somebody else take that job down the stretch. And you're going to talk about another Browns quarterback later on that I think will surprise some people. But Shador's a little injured right now too, right? Is that correct? He was a little banged up.
I believe his oblique. He missed the second game,
right,
which had Dylan Gabriel start, and that kind of made a whirlwind of news, and we'll talk about that later too. But yeah, that's a crowded room, but not surprising that Flacco's winning that. He by far has the most experience.
Yeah, I mean Gabriel so he says he wasn't taking shots. And from what I've listened to, a lot of people are, that know him are leaning towards, that he wasn't taking shots at him. He clarified his comments, but, he was saying that there are entertainers and then there are competitors. And, a lot of people thought he was talking about Shador. And, I'd be surprised, though, to hear any of those guys really on live television say something like that. I'd be surprised. You'd have to be pretty unintelligent to say something like that and call out your teammate on the field. He's a young guy, though. You never know, and don't really know what those guys' intentions are. I'm not going to speak to what his intentions are, but I know that it shook some things up. I hope that they're able to figure that out, because if there's tension in the quarterback room, it can be good if it creates healthy competition, but you also don't want to create a toxic situation there as well, so
yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens. And what else you got, Miles?
Well, we're staying in the state of Ohio here. We're going to talk about the Bengals. Well, most recently, news of Cincinnati is now taking calls for premier defensive end Trey Hendrickson.
Who we talked about in our first episode.
We did, yeah. He's been by far the most productive just in terms of the sacks, 35 in the last 2 years. He's seeing all these other elite pass rushers around the same age as him being paid. You got the Myles Garretts, Max Crosby, TJ Watt. These guys who are approaching or in their 30s are making big bucks. And you're kind of left in Trey Hendrickson's point of view of, well, what have I not done to deserve this money?
Right.
He's seeing Jamar Chase get paid. T. Higgins is getting paid.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, of course. And Joe Burrow, you got to pay that guy. But,
I'm not taking anything away from any three of those guys. They're all fantastic. But dude, their defense has just been the weak spot of their team for how long now?
He's the lone stalwart of that defense, and Shamar Stewart, that whole thing was ugly with getting his contract situated. It really is surprising, but Cincinnati's been dysfunctional for a while.
Right.
So,
and we talked about that in our last episode as well. The Cincinnati front office has not really been able to figure it out as far as contracts go, and that's really unfortunate because their offensive line can't seem to keep Joe Burrow safe. You got a guy with a huge contract back there. He's fighting for his life, rolling that route right and left, making every play that you're asking him to, and you can't keep him healthy because you're not willing to invest in your offensive line.
Right.
They're clearly, right, as we're talking about, they're not willing to invest in their defense. They're going to have to figure something out there. I know that there's salary cap issues, but if it were me, maybe I wouldn't have paid T. Higgins and just kind of maybe moved on, draft a young guy, and invest into your defense and your offensive line a little bit.
Make your roster more sustainable.
Right.
And this is something Jared and I were talking about off air last night. We love Joe Burrow a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
I drafted him in my fantasy team.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later too.
Yeah.
But I was telling Miles, I think that Joe Burrow, could potentially be the best quarterback in the league, but he doesn't have the support system to prove that. And he's still putting up what some might even call MVP stats.
Right.
And I mean, how many 34, 35-point games did they have last season that they lost because their defense wasn't coming through for them?
Even great quarterbacks like Joe Burrow can't win shootouts every week. You need a well-rounded roster to win these games. But that just makes it even more impressive on his part, the success he's had despite that pitiful offensive line play. Do we all remember the year they went to the Super Bowl? First round of the playoffs, they played the number 1 seed Titans. He got sacked 9 times.
Yep.
He got sacked 9 times. Going into the Super Bowl, and I'm jumping the gun over the Chiefs right here, who were along that path too, but I'll get to that. He was going against one of the best defensive players of all time in Aaron Donald, and that final play got blown up because of him, and just their chances withered away. So for him to carry them in his second year, and my mistake, that was his second year. I remember he tore his ACL rookie year. Second year, he's able to just put the team on his back with a rookie Jamar Chase and take him to the big game and almost win it. So he's successful outside of offensive line play, and outside of these other elites, you can rank them however you want. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow,
Jalen Hurts.
And Jalen Hurts falls into this category too, but Joe Burrow, outside of Lamar and Josh Allen, has shown that he can beat the Chiefs in crunch time in the playoffs. Josh Allen's lost to them 4 of the last 5 years.
Right. And I would argue that the Bills have always had a significantly better roster than the Bills have. Maybe not so much from an offensive weapons perspective.
Yeah, the playmakers.
But they're solid. You know what I mean? If you put them head to head, I would put the Bills overall above the Bengals.
Yeah. And I mean, Lamar has shown that he's very iffy in the playoffs. He's a great regular season quarterback, but then you kind of see some teetering issues going on in the playoffs. So he's shown, Joe Burrow, that he can beat the Chiefs. He has been the thorn in a lot of franchises' sides. He beat him to take him to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then my final point with Joe Burrow and just kind of Cincinnati as a whole is their head coach, Zach Taylor, I've never really been a fan of.
Yeah.
They've started really bad the past 3 seasons, like 0-1, 0-2. They're losing a handful of their first couple of games, and it's just hard to look at that and not say it's coaching. I
would lean probably a little more towards front office, but at some point they start to interconnect and become one. To some degree,
the head of the snake is the problem. You're asking Joe Burrow to overcome too much,
right?
And it really is a shame because we love the guy.
I also feel like if they can't find a way to protect him, we're going to end up seeing early retirement from Joe Burrow, and that is a shame.
Does it Cincinnati want an Andrew Luck situation?
Well, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about. That's exactly, you read my mind, man. That's exactly what I'm thinking about when I say that. So, yeah, those dang Bengals, man.
Those dang Bengals. Well, the NFL world is pretty shaken up after some recent quarterback changes, which we've already discussed. But there's another quarterback room that we like to discuss. Who are the biggest winners and losers of that? Let's discuss.
All right, the biggest winners and losers of the week. Miles, you got the biggest loser of the week. Go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, that's 3 weeks in a row. I have a knack for poor souls. So Anthony Richardson, I do think this is a little blown out of proportion. Because before I even get into this, I don't blame them for doing this. If Daniel Jones is showing you that he's the better quarterback throughout training camp and preseason, you need to start him. This is year 3 for Shane Steichen. You know, I don't think that they're going to be going to the Super Bowl anytime soon, but they need to show that they can win now because there are going to be jobs on the line. So let's stop doubling down on things that aren't working just because Anthony Richardson is still a young quarterback who has played, 17 games in the entirety of his career. Very inconsistent. I mean, he played that preseason game, 6 for 11, 73 yards and 1 rush for 9 yards. So the reason I say this is blown out of proportion is because let's not forget that Bryce Young was benched at one point for Andy Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back and he played really well down the stretch. And he's shown that he's their guy and they believe in him.
So I have a theory. That potentially the Colts are doing this to see how Anthony Richardson is going to respond. Is he going to step up to the plate and start playing like the quarterback that the Colts need, or is he going to fall off and then they're going to see his true colors shine through? So that's kind of what my theory is. But I had the biggest winner of the week, and we're going to stay in that Colts quarterback room, and it's going to be Daniel Jones, man. He only played 1 quarter, but 7 for 11, 101 yards. I mean, no interceptions, right? So he's playing a clean game. He's putting up good yards. I mean, if he plays 4 quarters and you keep those same stats, if he's throwing for 400 yards a game, that's what you need out of your quarterback. So if he's going to be the one that's going to show up and earn that spot, you know, I mean, he kind of lost out on what was going on over there in New York. He had a good opportunity, and you know, in New York, he was showing flashes. He used his legs well. He have a good pass here and there, but then he was inconsistent down the stretch, and then he battled some injuries back and forth. So, but you know, maybe he's looking at this too as an opportunity to try to revitalize his career. So I think that that's going to be a good competition, and it's going to be one that we're going to want to watch down the stretch. To move on from our biggest winners and losers, man, Miles and I have a little bit of competition over here ourselves, and we're going to hop right into our dual threat bet. All right, dual threat bet, man. We finally decided on a punishment. The way that our dual threat bet is going to work is that every week we're going to pull, I know we talked about this in our first episode, but I just want to recap. We're going to pull every week a bet out of our Prom King Crown, which you guys have seen before. You know, we don't need to get into the story of the crown or anything like that, but we'll pull a bet out of the crown, and at the end of the season, we'll tally up all the wins and losses, and whoever has the most losses will endure the punishment. And the punishment is a beer mile. So, Miles, you want to give us a little bit of insight into what a beer mile is for our viewers that may not know?
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun, you guys. So a beer mile, you have to run a mile, of course. There's beer involved, of course. Every quarter mile you run, you need to chug a beer.
Mm-hmm. It has to be finished before you can complete.
Before you start running. Yeah.
Is it before you start running or before you can complete the lap? Because like if I'm running with my second beer, like am I allowed to run with my second beer and like finish it before I?
You know, I don't really know the.
Well, I feel like we got to set the rules now.
Yeah, I think you should finish it before you keep running.
Oh man, so stop and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all right, that's fair. That's fair.
We're getting gross here, guys. I mean, we gotta make it so that
this will be recorded too, and we will absolutely put this out on our socials. So don't forget to like and subscribe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some chunks might be blown, but
We'll try to edit those out, maybe.
Yeah, but that's the punishment of the dual threat bet, and we gotta, obviously a lot of luck is gonna play into our side here.
Yeah.
But
it's already not looking good.
No, it's not. And I'll cap off why it's not looking good. If you guys remember in the first episode, I drew Abdul Carter 3+ sacks throughout the preseason. I mean, he's looked good. Still no sacks though, and I don't know if he's going to play the third game. I doubt he will. But he didn't really make himself look too good with.
He did make a headline though.
He made a headline with there was a play where he got chipped. He just got absolutely like nailed to the ground, and
by a tight end.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously it took the world by storm, and he took to Twitter after, and I can't read verbatim what he said just because I don't remember, but it had something to do along the lines of like that's the only highlight the Jets will have all year. We still put belt to ass. Something like that. It's like, dude, I mean,
Watch your profanity.
You already had the belt to your behinds on that play. That'll live forever.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, I see players like this, and you just kind of look and be like, you're not doing yourselves any favors here.
Yeah.
This is a very, people will clown you.
Dude, it's a cutthroat league too, man. And you're playing with the big boys now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Abdul Carter has a lot of talent. He has a lot of potential, but we've also seen guys that come out early in the first round. Look at Solomon Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon Thomas has had a pretty shaky career, and he's been average at best lineman, you know? And so I hope that that's not the case for Abdul Carter, but, maybe keep the talking for when you start getting those 3+ sacks that Vegas is calling for.
Yeah. Every rookie has their welcome to the league moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his. Just take it on the chin and move on.
Yeah.
But just give me 3 sacks, please. I really don't want to start 0-1. So if you can do that, then I will forgive you.
Well, Miles, I think that we'll be lucky if either of us get any dubs. We went back through our bets, and they are not looking good. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more insight into the one that I picked. As a reminder, I picked Travis Hunter +1 interception. He's only got to get one, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just one. There's rookie quarterbacks out there.
Yeah.
I just hope, just put him in on defense. Just give him a couple plays, give him an opportunity. Hopefully they'll throw his way and he can pick one of those off. But it's not looking good for me either. He didn't even play last week.
Mm-hmm.
He had an upper body injury, which is not looking good. If they hold him out of it week 3, then I guess I'm toast.
Mm-hmm.
He did return to practice this week, but we're still interceptionless.
Mm-hmm.
So as we move out of this, it's time for us to pull out of the crown, and because we missed last week's episode, we're each gonna pull 2.
Yeah.
So Miles, currently you have Abdul Carter +3 sacks. I have Travis Hunter +1 interception. Let's do us the honors.
Okay.
Go ahead and
do you want to go 1-1-1-1?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. God, I really hope I don't pull the. Oh God. Okay.
What is it?
Genty 150 rushing yards.
Oh man, so he's got what, like 30 right now?
Yeah.
33 total for the preseason?
Yep.
Oh man.
I'm gonna need down punt at the 1 yard line to take it to the house on the second series with what would that be, like 20 more rushing yards on the series before.
Dude, he's gonna have to play like at least the whole first half.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I wish you the best.
Well, they're playing.
I didn't want that one.
They're playing the Cardinals this week, and their 2s and 3s on defense got absolutely picked apart.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's hope. Maybe.
Yeah.
But if
I believe in you.
But if he's gonna look good on the first series, I don't imagine he's gonna get put in on the second.
Well, I got mine here. Shedeur Sanders +3 touchdowns.
That's so good.
Dude, I'm not feeling bad about that one.
He's already got 2.
I as long as he plays
Yeah.
next week, but who knows? Maybe he doesn't even play.
Well, if
He was injured. Maybe they only put him in for one drive. They still have him pretty low on that depth chart, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I
So
guess we'll see.
that's got a chance. I'm envious, and I feel
If you hit on any of these though, and that one doesn't hit, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be really upset.
that would be so funny.
All right, my guy.
All
There
right,
you go.
there's one in here that I just have a feeling I'm gonna get the absolute worst of them all. Yep. Yeah, JJ McCarthy to throw 3 touchdowns. I would be shocked if he played at all in the third game.
I think you're cooked, buddy.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going 0-3 to start off
To
the
start?
preseason. Yeah, this is good.
Well, we'll let you
great.
guys know next week how that turns out. This
Yeah.
week is the last week of the preseason, so
Mhm.
we'll gather all those stats and see what happened. Oh man, Travis Hunter, he better play the whole game, man. I got Travis Hunter plus 2 touchdowns. I guess we'll see.
And that's not an anytime touchdown. He can't. If he gets a pick 6, that's not gonna double dip for you.
You're not going to give it to me?
I think we clarified that when we put that in the prom
man.
crown.
I-
2
I-
offensive touchdowns.
Okay. Well,
So
guess-
I think we're looking at. I'm gonna be 0-3. You have a chance of being 1-2.
yeah, Shador's going to be my knight in shining armor, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know how many people have said that, but I guess that's the direction that we're going.
Yeah. So rough start.
Yeah.
Rough start here for me, but like we said before, this is all luck based, and it'll get easier once we have the actual starting rosters of people and
Yeah.
all the playmakers. So, well, there's one thing for sure that you and I can bet on. You bet your ass we don't have any of these guys on our fantasy team.
Watch your profanity.
Sorry, guys.
All right, guys, it is time for fantasy. And Miles, you picked 5th, which is that's a really decent spot. I love picking right around the middle. And I was fortunate enough to do so. I picked 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So we were pretty close to
We
each
were.
other in the draft. Well, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, start us off.
Yeah. So at number 7, I took Derrick Henry. Big fan of Derrick Henry. I every year I want to have Derrick Henry on my team, and I'm never able to really secure him. And last season, I was finally able to secure the bag and get Derrick Henry, and it did me well. So I have a good feeling about this season. The Ravens are looking pretty good. I'm feeling pretty confident, and let's go Henry.
Yeah. What a year to get him.
Well, and
last year.
Some of the guys were knocking me for it too, but I mean, I'm all about it. I'm here for it. That dude's so yoked that I'm not even worried about injury, to be completely honest. And they're pretty good about rotating their running backs. So
And they have such a good running scheme too.
Even so, like Lamar's going to take pressure off of him in the run game, and then their passing game is pretty elite. So I'm feeling good about Derrick Henry. I think that he'll still be able to get some goal line touches, break off for some big yards, and without being overworked. So that's something I'm concerned about for a couple other guys around the league that are top tier running backs. So, but I'm not so much as worried about that for Derrick Henry. My number 2 pick, I went running back again, and took Jonathan Taylor. Feeling pretty good about that pick as well. And the reason for that, and we talked about this last week, was that it was wide receiver heavy towards the end of the draft. And even when we drafted recently, we saw that, running backs are pretty light. So I went running back, wide receiver, Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling pretty good about that. So what about yourself, Miles? How'd you start off? Who was your first pick?
So my first pick was CD Lamb, and I'm not mad at that at all. I really do like that pick, but I was kind of torn between him and Derrick Henry because, similar to your strategy, I wanted to start off with a running back, but Derrick Henry kind of scared me because of not only how productive he was last year, he touched the ball a lot. He was healthy, and he's shown that he can get hurt. And I was just kind of like, an older back after a productive year like that, I could see him going down.
Older back. The man's in his prime.
How old is he now? This is not good podcasting.
Late.
Like 28,
late
29?
20s, yeah, probably 28.
Even still, it was the same reason why I didn't want to take a guy like Josh Jacobs. It's just a year after many touches for an older back.
Oh, he's not 28. He is. Derrick Henry is 31. So
yeah, I was gonna say,
that is
like,
getting up
this
there.
is, yeah,
That is getting up there.
So I was just like, it would be my luck for me to draft him, and then he goes down, and I'm virtually screwed.
Well,
with the running backs. So.
And if he goes down, it wouldn't be my first time, man. I drafted Adrian Peterson when he sat out the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
I drafted Christian McCaffrey when he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
I've had it happen to me before, and we've overcome. So
yeah.
I'm still not worried. I feel pretty confident in my fantasy abilities, and at the end of the day too, I'm in 4 leagues. So if this one doesn't work out, I guess I'll just endure the punishment and. I'll claim victory somewhere else.
You have a lot of opportunities to make up for it.
Yeah.
But I did snag my running back, Kyron Williams, in the second round.
Love that pick.
I do too. It's my original strategy was I wanted to get Bucky Irving in the second round. He finished last year really well, and
another great pick. I would not have faulted you for that.
Yeah, but he got sniped in front of me, and I like Kyron Williams, but he was hurt last year. This is where fantasy gets a little weird because I hate the Rams. So if they were unproductive because of his injury, that benefits you and I, but that hurts my fantasy team, and I'm not trying to do the new punishment. So, I'm pretty
Speaking
set.
Of which, you wanna lay the new punishment on us, Miles, for Fantasyland?
Absolutely, yeah. So. We have a trend with beer on this podcast, don't we? So the new punishment is we are going to drop the loser off at a park, and we are going to go to a bar about 3 miles away. And we are going to start a tab
with everybody in the league.
So that's 11 people at the bar starting a tab, and that loser who got dropped off, they have to run to the bar. And I believe they said you have to chug a beer for every mile, right?
Oh, really? I forgot about that.
I think that was added in last minute. So yeah, you got to run there, and after you get there, you can pay off the tab. So you got to be quick.
Have to pay off the tab.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to pay off the tab. Yeah. So I'm not a big drinker, so I'm not gonna. I mean, I'll drink. But it's more casual. I'm not going to run up that tab, but I don't want to pay for it. Absolutely.
No,
I don't want to pay for that tab.
Yeah. So if there's any way that I am in the bottom, 3 going towards the end of the year, I'm going to start conditioning because.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna have to start hitting the gym.
Yeah. I that treadmill will know me very well. So. I think that's more fun.
I like it better than the comedy club.
Yeah,
that was stressing me out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially jokes written by the rest of our league.
Yeah, they weren't going to be very family friendly. So
at least I can financially recover from this.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could socially recover from those jokes. So
no, definitely not. So yeah, that's the punishment we got going. I think that's fun. I think not too bad. It's just more gross than anything. But yeah, speaking of just who we picked, our strategies, we do have some players on the waiver wire. A lot of quarterbacks. So I'll just name the first 5 I see here. We got JJ McCarthy, Jordan Love, Tua, Bryce Young, and Russell Wilson. And then we got more down here who I really wouldn't have any interest taking. But Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks, it's going to be a lot of defenses and kickers, stuff like that, which is pretty standard.
My biggest challenge every year is that I actually usually don't draft a backup quarterback. I've been really lucky with quarterbacks over the years, and I haven't really had the need for one, except obviously on a bye week. So my biggest issue is always which one of my wide receivers or running backs do I drop during that week so that I can replace him. But I don't hate those guys. I don't hate these guys. You know what I mean?
No.
I think I talked about this in our secret episode, but I really like the way that Jordan Love has progressed. I think he could have a really decent season. Russ looked really good this week, man.
He did.
We only got to see a little bit of play, but I feel pretty good about Russ if he's able to stay healthy and sling the rock. So
yeah.
JJ McCarthy, I'm a little bit more on the fence about, and Tua, him and I are both on concussion protocol, so I don't think that's a pick that I would be super eager to snag.
Well, and somebody else who was there that did get picked up, I'm just now noticing, was Matthew Stafford. And if Stafford was not having this lingering back issue, he is somebody that I would have taken for sure.
Well, especially with the upgrade of Devontae Adams as well at the number 2 spot. I mean, how often can you believe that we're even saying that Devontae Adams number 2? I mean, it's
pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to me. Well, we got some pretty decent wide receivers and running backs as well. One guy that I'm going to keep my eye on is it Trey Benson? I'm going to keep my eyes on him. If James Conner isn't able to make it the whole season, he's getting up there too. That's another guy that's getting up. Was he 32 this year?
He is 30.
Is he? Is he younger than Derrick Henry?
I think he's younger
surprising.
than him. Yeah.
But that's another guy that's getting up there, and this is the time for young guys to shine. They come in behind elite guys that are starting to step out of their prime a little bit, and so I'm excited to see what comes of that, and I'll be keeping my eyes peeled for sure. I did snag. I love McCaffrey. I think he could have a really good season. The reports are really good coming out of camp. However, I made sure to snag Garindo. I think that's always a safe handcuff when we're talking about McCaffrey. So, all right, man. Well, I think it's time to transition over to our hot takes. So, Miles, you got a hot take, and we're just going to recycle our ones from last week because we liked them and we didn't get to share them with you guys. So, Miles, go ahead, man. Tell us what your hot take is this week.
Yeah, so we talk about the Browns a lot on this show. Crowded quarterback room. Pretty even split of veterans and young guys, but somebody who I think falls in that weird sort of middle category is Kenny Pickett. There's no way they're keeping all these guys on their roster. They're just not. So it's hard for me to envision a guy like Kenny Pickett staying when they draft Shador and Dylan Gabriel, and then they just signed I can't believe I'm already forgetting. Was it Teddy or was it Tyler Huntley?
Tyler Huntley, yeah. Teddy's with Tampa.
The Buccaneers, that's right. So they, like we always say, it's a crowded room. So I think Kenny Pickett is going to be dealt. And the place that makes the most sense would be the New Orleans Saints. Kenny Pickett and head coach Kellen Moore, they have a rapport from Philadelphia. Kenny Pickett was the backup to Jalen Hurts when Kellen Moore was their offensive coordinator. They're fresh off of a Super Bowl win, and New Orleans' quarterback room is not looking very promising. Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, those are two young guys who aren't really oozing a lot of confidence to that organization. So I could see them making a move for a guy who has experience with their head coach, who can at least handle the baton with some sort of veteran leadership, gamesmanship of just being around the league and being able to hold down the fort for at least the first couple of weeks until one of these guys decides to take over the starting job.
So I don't know if Kenny would be like a long-term solution.
Absolutely not.
But I think he could at least hold it down in the meantime while either, Rattler develops or Show develops, and I mean, because neither of them have been
No.
looking very good in the preseason, or until they do find their guy of the future, and who knows, maybe Kenny does become the guy of the future. Maybe he steps up to the plate, but it's not looking good with where he's at on the depth chart with the Browns. And, if you're being dealt from the Browns, that's,
what does that say?
Yeah, right. Well, my hot take was that the New England Patriots will take the number 2 spot in the AFC East. I know that this is a hot take. Obviously, the Bills are probably going to take that division. It would take a lot for me to believe that they're not going to. But my thoughts here are that it's going to be Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets. I don't have a lot of confidence in Justin Fields right now. Or just the Jets organization as a whole. I think their front office is a mess, and it has been for a long time. I think we saw that last season with the firing of Robert Saleh. The Dolphins, I think that they have lost.
They're a wild card of the team.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost a couple of their playmakers. They did make a big move that I really liked for Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Steelers, but then they're giving up Jonnu Smith, so then their tight end situation isn't quite there, which takes away kind of a safety blanket for Tua, and Tua needs all the safety blankets he can get, man. If that guy can stay healthy this season, I think that that could change, but with his concussion situation, I just don't know if I have that confidence in. I really like Mike McDaniel. He's a 49er guy. And so I love I love the Dolphins as a whole. I really like their roster, Jay Ajayi, Tyreek Hill, and they're starting to put some pieces together on defense. I just don't know if they can battle off the injuries, and the Patriots have some young guys, Travion Henderson is a big name. That was another guy I tried to snag in the draft, and I don't remember who sniped him from me, but I think he's going to have a huge season. Ramondre Stevenson, that's a guy that's on. Well, I guess he got picked up today, but he got dropped earlier in the week in our league, and I don't think that Stevenson's going to take a lot of snaps, man. I think a lot of those are going to go to Henderson. They're looking pretty good at wide receiver. They got some young guys over there. The defensive mind of Mike Vrabel, I believe in that, and I think that Drake May could potentially take a big step this year. I'm not saying that for sure because you never know with young guys. He's only in his second season, but sophomore season is kind of a make or break. That tells the true story, and so I hope that that's the case for Drake May.
Yeah. I really like Drake May, and they get a blue chipper out of LSU and Will Campbell. They're shoring up that offensive line, so I really like that hot take. It would not surprise me whatsoever if they snag number 2, and if they're trying to make a playoff push here. So good hot take for you, Jared. I really like that.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're gonna move on now to our fourth quarter question of the week. As a reminder that our fourth quarter question of the week is submitted by our viewers. You can submit those either under where you're watching our podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, whatever you're thinking, or you can submit those under our TikTok or Instagram. Those are most likely where we're going to see it the most. Go ahead and submit those when we post. We will try to reach out to you guys, and if we decide that your question gets picked, then we will give you a call. And actually what we're going to do, and we're going to show you guys right now, is we are going to call you guys and get your questions here on air, basically. So right now I'm going to give a call to our first question of the week. This is going to be a question from Abner Ruiz, and let's do it.
Hello?
Hey, Abner, it's Young Broadcaster and Miles on the mic with the 2 Point Perspective. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? I'm good. How are y'all?
Good, man. So we picked your question of the week for this week, and we want to give you an opportunity to ask it here on the podcast.
Okay, awesome. The Raiders got Pete Carroll, and we got Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, what are the odds that we'll see Pete Carroll have Geno Smith throw to Brock Bowers on the 1 yard line instead of giving it to Ashton Jeanty?
Well,
I love this question.
I do too. Because that's we hate the Seahawks on this show, so that's been a nightmare for them ever since. You would think that he would have learned his lesson. And I don't think they're getting to the Super Bowl anytime soon, but just in any sort of regulation game, you gotta, if Genty is proving that he is replicating what he did in college football, just it's a no-brainer. You gotta hand it off.
Yeah, you got to give the man the rock.
Yeah. And I mean, Bowers is no slouch in the red zone. So, I mean, is it a horrible play? No. But when you're on the 1 yard line, you got a lot less room to go. You just got to run it up the teeth of the defensive line and get it in there. So,
well, let me ask you a question. You know what I mean? Like, are they throwing over the middle or are they throwing to the corner?
Right.
If they're throwing to the corner, Brock Bowers is a big man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could make that catch over somebody else. They're throwing over the middle again. We don't want to see that, man.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to see. Hand the man the rock. Hand the man the rock.
Totally.
To answer your question, man, I think that the chances are low. Hopefully he's learned his lesson. We don't need a repeat of the Super Bowl. It's I will say that was one of the only times that I ever rooted for the Patriots.
Yeah.
I hate. Yeah.
Well, and the Rams too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But hey, man, thank you so much for asking the question. We appreciate you being on the show, and congratulations. You're technically our first caller on the 2 Point Perspective.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. I love you guys. I love what you guys are doing. And I look forward to just watching you guys throughout the season.
Yeah,
Right
I
on,
appreciate the support, Abner. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, take
Bye,
care,
guys.
brother. All right, man. Good question from Abner, man. I love stuff like that. That is funny, but also gives us a little bit of an opportunity to talk about some big name guys like Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty.
Mm-hmm.
Our next caller is going to be Kai Ward, and Kai has a question for us about the Cardinals. So I'm excited to see what Miles's take is on this one. Big Cardinals fan, Kai.
Hello.
Hey, Kai, it's young broadcaster and Miles on the mic here on the 2 Point Perspective. How you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Good, brother. Yeah, we're
good.
excited to have you on. You are technically our number 2 caller to ever be on the 2 Point Perspective, so we're really excited to have you on, man.
I am excited to be on. This is great.
Yeah, and you have a question for us about the Cardinals, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Cool, man. We'll lay it on us.
All right. So my question to you guys is, why do you think the Cardinals keep Kyler Murray in the QB1 position when he's not producing any results?
Okay, Jared, I want you to take this first because I think Kai and I are going to have a little back and forth with this. So I want you to get your opinion out first.
Okay, Kai, can I start by answering your question with a question?
Go ahead.
Who would replace Kyler?
Well, currently they have just taken Jacoby Brissett, and so far, I get it. He hasn't had the best track record, but I definitely think he could do far better than Kyler Murray. And even then, why not give Clayton Tune a chance?
I don't hate Jacoby Brissett. He's a journeyman. He has shown to be a high quality backup. Man, I love getting Miles riled up about the Cardinals. So, honestly, I'm just going to pass this one right over to you. I feel like you're more equipped to answer this question than I am as a Cardinals fan.
Well, Kai, here's my thing, and I'll put I think I can end the Clayton Tune argument right here. Clayton Tune is not a good quarterback at all. There's just no logical reason, in my opinion, to you take all this time. Jonathan Gannon, Monty Austinford, they tear this team down to the studs, and they rebuild. There's no point in putting in Jacoby Brissett or Clayton Tune when this is going to be the most capable and well-rounded roster Kyler's ever played with. Last time he had a roster similar to this, he was able to take him to the playoffs. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Kyler is immortal to any and all criticism. I've been on the fence with him. I'm sure as a Cardinals fan, he's one of the most polarizing players, not only for this franchise but for the league. You either hate him or you love him. I've always given Kyler Murray a mulligan, especially for the first 4 years of his career, because I think it's very disingenuous to say that the former general manager Steve Keim was putting the best roster around him, and Cliff Kingsbury, he was a failure of a head coach who secured a head coaching position with one of the worst franchises in all sports. Kyler Murray was drafted to said franchise with 3 elite teams, with 3 elite head coaches, 3 Hall of Fame head coaches. He's had to deal with Pete Carroll, Kyle Shanahan, and Sean McVay his entire career. Now, I understand, this is year 7, been to the playoffs one time, got destroyed in that game. And he still makes some of those silly mistakes. I ripped into Kyler last week on throwing that interception in the preseason game.
And you really let him have it. I'm going to defend you a little bit on that one because I know you are a big Kyler Murray fan, but you let him have it last week, and I was actually pretty impressed.
Yeah, so I think my main thing is this is the best roster he's ever had. This is the most competent regime of head coach front office he's ever had. And I mean, you can really just also boil it down to the contract. You're not going to be able to offload him, and if you do, then who, like this previous offseason, who was going to be the better alternative to getting a different quarterback instead of maintaining continuity with the offense, with keeping Kyler and these playmakers and let them grow and evolve.
Can I jump in there for a second,
Yeah.
Miles? So this is something I heard a long time ago, and I've always stuck to it since I've heard it. I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense. But if you're gonna get rid of a guy, it's gotta be with the mindset that there is someone better out there to replace them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing: if there's not, your franchise immediately enters rebuild mode.
Yeah,
and that is not a place you want to be, because that becomes a 3 to 5 year time frame now before you're back competing at a high level in most cases, right? Not always. I mean, Washington had a great run last year.
Yeah.
But
right.
Typically that's not something that happens. It's tough to find guys that are elite, and I'm not saying that Kyler's elite, but there are some things to consider there, and it's not that as easy of a decision to make if you're not confident that there's someone else out there to immediately lead your franchise.
Yeah,
Ryan, you mind if I jump in?
No, go for it, Kai, please.
So cool. And I'm not saying Kyler Murray's the worst ever, but he's definitely not what he used to be. Especially ever since he got injured, his run game is no longer the same, and I felt like that was a huge detriment to him because that was part of who he was as a player. But I don't think that, he probably should remain QB1, but I definitely think that he is in a spot where he's comfortable knowing he has a position. And I definitely think, maybe they should sit him out for maybe a couple games and have someone like Jacoby Brissett take over for that, just to make him want to fight and earn that position again. And because, back to Jacoby Brissett, when he was with the Cleveland Browns, he had absolutely nothing, and he was making whatever he could out of it. So I do think he could definitely be a great backup, and I believe that he should at least start at least a couple of games of the season just to show Kyler Murray that he is possibly replaceable, to give him something to work for.
Here's my only pushback on that. Kyler Murray's going into this year on the hot seat. I think he knows that if he can't secure, his job is not safe. It's safe for right now. I mean, he's the most talented quarterback in that room, so he's going to start. But this is a make or break year for him. If he doesn't carry this team to the playoffs, if he shows that he's still inconsistent with Marvin Harrison Jr., he can't lead this offense, they're gonna pivot for sure. And if they're gonna start Jacoby Brissett, they won't start him week 1, week 2. They're gonna start Jacoby Brissett out of necessity if Kyler's not playing well.
I could see that start happening around maybe week 5, week 6, something like that.
That's solely dependent on Kyler Murray's play, and I think if they're doing that, then that's kind of a telltale sign of what they're going to do in the offseason following. So this is a big year for Kyler. On the hot seat for sure. It's all up to him.
Yeah. Well, hey, Kai, thank you so much for being on the 2 Point Perspective. We really appreciate your input and your question. Thank you again just for being our second caller ever to be on the show, technically. And we hope to have you back on again, man.
Yeah, love talking to fellow Cardinals fans. So thank you for calling up.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys calling me. I enjoyed it, and yeah, if there's ever anything for like future stuff, I'll definitely be willing to talk again.
Well, hey man, if you ever have any input or you want to get our opinions on anything, don't forget to comment on our social media pages on both TikTok and Instagram. You can also comment underneath our podcast pages. So anywhere you find our podcast, feel free to comment. And if we like your question, man, you're going to be up. So
you got it.
Right on, brother. Have a good one.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right, guys. I actually just got 2 notifications that I wanted to share. It looks like the Chiefs are sending wide receiver Sky Moore to the 49ers. So that's a big move. I don't see what the Niners got in return, but it's our first time breaking any news, so that's kind of fun for us.
Yeah, live breaking news. And
by the time this goes out, it won't be breaking news, but that'll be kind of fun. That's
not surprising.
No, I mean, dude, we're depleted.
Yeah,
completely depleted.
You needed to make a move.
Totally, yeah. I mean, Juwan Jennings is still a sit-in. That's not a good situation there, right? BA is going to be out till week 6, and right now it's basically just Ricky Pearsall. We're rotating. I mean, I don't know if anyone else has been paying attention, but we're pretty much rotating through wide receivers on a daily basis. I mean, they're bringing a guy in to work out, cutting him immediately. So we're just not finding anything that's really working out, and I think that's a good move. I want to see what they gave up for it. Again, this will be old news, so we'll all know by the time that this goes out. But another move that I just saw was that the Broncos are trading Devon Vale to the Saints for a 2026 4th round pick and a 2027 7th round pick. So wide receiver Devon Vale to the Saints. So there's a couple of last updates before we get out of here, guys. But I just want to say, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and join the roster, man. If you guys have us on Instagram or TikTok, our link tree is in the description, so please hit that up. We really appreciate your viewership, and we will see you guys next week.